So Hunter's fucking around. Phil needs a hand. Phil needs a hand job.
He was a jerk off.
And that sums up tonight's fucking video. That's
right. Yeah, signing out.
Yeah. And Xavier from Desktop is too much of a sissy. He won't fucking say shit wrong. Anyway. All right, serious and silliness. Where are we? Bodybuilding, right? I got
Jersey.
so many.
We're in New Jersey.
Yeah, I got so many channels that I forget what fucking channel I'm on. Speaking of which, I did a anabolic academy, right? Where people ask questions and I answer them. And somebody wrote, I don't know who it was. Somebody wrote, Jersey Juice Head, right? And I wrote back, I'm from Brooklyn, son.
Right. They respond?
No, definitely not. They didn't. They did not respond. But
anyway, from last week with King on.
Oh yeah, no, that did good. That did good for me. Put it that way. You know, you got to take into consideration how many subscribers I have, right? So as of today, I have 639 subscribers, right? So we got close to 500 views on that King Kamali one, right? So that's actually really good, right? Considering the amount of subscribers I have, and every day the
like 90% of people are watching.
Right. So that one did really good, and I get a lot of comments and a lot of likes on. I get comments and likes on all the videos. It's a matter of time. It's going to do well. It's just a matter of time because I could see the interaction with the people that watch it and so on and so forth. And the majority of the interaction is positive. Every once in a while, I get some shithead that says something, but
Jersey Juice Head.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it is what it is. Anyway, so basically, we beat the next show is Italy, like not this weekend, next weekend. So we're not going to be talking about that. So two things popped up. The first thing is, and I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to hold back this today because I was watching another podcast and it kind of annoyed me that he held back because anyway, all right, I'll get to that. First thing, Hunter, he's in Jordan. I think he's guest posing or doing appearances or something like that. And what is that, 9 weeks to the Olympia?
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's
and he
coming a little close.
Yeah, and he lost to somebody that you would think in the back of his head he should be like, I got to be able to beat this guy if I want to be in the mix for the top 5, top 3, whatever the case may be at the Olympia. And instead, he's in Jordan. I believe it. Obviously, it's got to be his wife. Doing appearances, so on and so forth. And I get they're probably paying him a pretty penny and so on and so forth. But I don't know, shouldn't them? Because when you see Nick Walker's stuff on Instagram, he's training, he's hard. You could see the progress he's making. You could see the progress Samson Dowd is making. You could see the progress.
These guys are in the basement, dude. They're in the basement.
Exactly, right. You could see the progress Derek is making. And the scary part is Hadi doesn't even put shit on his fucking Instagram. So, his head is in the ground fucking putting the work in. And here's Hunter, who's got another shot. And he's like, I don't know when he comes back. I have no idea, but I don't know. I know
he has a guest posing in a couple of weeks up here in New York.
Does he really?
Yeah. Well, I'm the New York Grand Prix. I got a booth. I'm one of the sponsors of the show.
I don't know. See, you on this, you know better than me on this because you were in that life. I don't know. What do you think?
So there's guys that could do this, close to a competition, and there's guys that have a deadline, and I don't travel, I don't do anything when it gets to this point where it's 8 weeks out or 6 weeks out from a show. I mean, everybody's different. You would think a guy like Hunter, who's still trying to find his ground, who's still trying to make a name for a top spot, that he might be a little more grounded and a little more selective on when he travels close to a competition or not. But dude, there's other guys where this is their prime, dude. This is where they earn the money. So prize money is, it's great if you win, but not everybody's winning, so these are the avenues that these guys have to dive into to make money as athletes. But I look at it. I'm sure this is what you're looking at it from a hardcore athlete perspective, where do we just want to win and fuck everything else? And that's how I was.
Yeah, see, I get it. I get it if somebody last name isn't Labrada and they have to worry about a fucking sponsorship to pay them, right? Like
right. So yeah,
and
I get that argument.
And I'm sure Labrada I'm sure Hunter gets paid a pretty penny from Labrada. And not that he doesn't deserve it. He's the best athlete they have, obviously, right? But in that regard,
he has his own line. He has his own line. He's got his clothing line. He's got his online training stuff.
So in that regard, it's like it gets to the point where when are you gonna realize that you need to, he's not nobody at that level, nobody could just fucking glide in. At that level, these guys are fucking working and they're looking to win and they're tasting blood. And he can be right there. He can beat Andrew Jacked if he really, really set his sights to it. If he really, because it was very close. And I know people don't want to hear this because people all are high on Andrew Jacked, as they should be, but they put them through 4 or 5 rounds of posing in the prejudging and then in the finals again. So that says it's close. So my attitude, if he probably doesn't need any, probably doesn't need the money. You got appearances and guest posing is great if you want to do it after the Olympia next year. You got if you break the top 5, you're concentrating on doing the Olympia next year, and you got all year to do fucking appearances.
And also, Hunter's the kind of guy where he still needs to learn how to fine tune this. So the less outside interference, the less noise you have in preparation for this, the better off you'll be, trying to learn your body. It wasn't like the last 2 shows he did. He was spot on, perfect, dialed it in, knew how to hit his mark. He's still got a little bit to go, leaps and bounds, from last year.
Right.
But he's still, he's on his way. I didn't, we talked about it last week. I didn't really like his look for the Texas Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Something was going on there. But that's something he's got to figure out. And if it's stress from competing too soon, maybe traveling right after or in prep for the Olympia might not be the best thing for you, But
let me ask you something, because let me ask you an opinion, and this is just an opinion. I have no idea, and I'm just asking. This is very difficult on the wives of these athletes because these guys have to go into, deep places, mentally to get prepared for these contests. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows when it comes to competing, their wives and their kids have to come second because this is what they do for a living. And it's at the point where literally they can't do anything. Right. What are the odds that, and I'm not saying Hunter, right? I'm just saying, what are the odds that somebody like Hunter hears it from his wife, like, you did 2 contests, you did 2 shows, and, you did well, and the Olympia is, 12 weeks away, and we really need to vacation together, and we could use the extra money, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And then he caves instead of saying, we can go on vacation after the Olympia. What are the odds that that's a possibility? And have you seen that yourself in your world, in the bodybuilding world, obviously?
I would say no. I would, not that I haven't seen it. Like I dealt with it with my wife at the end of my career, but you got to remember, like my wife and I got together in 2005.
Yeah.
I retired in 2013. I was already a pro, competing as a pro, trying to establish myself as a pro for the early stages of our relationship. But then, you know, you're a top athlete. It's like Tom Brady and his wife, dude. You know, like this is what
Yeah.
I'm doing. You know,
Yeah.
these
Right.
guys have a window. You know, if they have kids, look, I missed my first daughter's birth because my wife was delivering on my flight home from my first Olympia in 2008.
Right. Right. Right.
You know, but I had to go. This was the Olympia. You know, and it wasn't like this prize money was so astounding. I couldn't risk giving it up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're the elite. You know, you have this opportunity, and everything else has to be secondary. And I would assume that the wives or the girlfriends or the other people who are involved know this going in. You know, if you've been married, you know, 15 years, you know, like I hate to bring him up, but
Yeah.
fucking like Vinny, like fucking Vinny's wife, like, dude, he's lucky his wife has stuck by him through this shit. She's been with him forever, and he still
Yeah.
wants to compete again.
No. Yeah. No. I totally agree. I get it, but you know.
So, but these guys, these top level guys that are in the run, you know, for a top 5 spot or a top 6 spot, I assume their better halves or girlfriends know this is what they do. This is how they earn a living. This is their career, and you know, you're either on board for the ride or, you know, on to the next.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just speculating, right? I'm just speculating. I don't know. I have seen, especially like the Tom Brady thing is a perfect example, right? Like I've seen, you were gonna. That was just an excuse to get out of a marriage, basically, right? That's all that was. But
I don't know. I mean, you have a guy like him.
you know,
Dude, he probably still could have had one more year.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. And it's like whatever. But I'm just using him as an example. So I mean, and also, I mean, you know, the newer generation of women. I'm just speculating. Like, and then there is, you know, there's like the guilty part. That's like, you know, I got to spend time with my kids and my fucking wife, and I did do 2 shows already, and blah blah blah. And, all right, let's, you know, it only take, you know, so I start 8 weeks out instead of fucking 12 weeks out. All right, you know, that kind of thing. And then she's like, she really wants, you know, and you know, it's kind of you know, in the back of her head, and like in the back of his head, like her saying, you know, we haven't gone on vacation, and we don't spend time with the kid, and I think all I'm saying is I think that might be a possibility. And you know, I don't
What are you talking about with Hunter?
Yeah.
Well, dude, there was the argument last year of why he was going shopping
Right before the Olympia. Thank you.
Olympia,
right, exactly.
And I know she has a kid from a prior relationship. I'm not sure if they're actually married yet or if they're engaged.
Put one on the board for me.
But that could very well be the case with him, you know?
Yeah.
Because I believe she's on this trip with him to Jordan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No,
so Perk was for the guest posing, hey, you bring me and my girl out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, as long as he has his stuff, he could prep for the Olympia, his girl's with him. I don't know. I don't know what their situation is.
Again, I'm just speculating, but you're right.
I totally could be one of those guys who's just codependent. Needs his girl with him, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's people that's his.
As long, listen, it's not if she is an asset to you, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? And there are plenty of women that serve as assets. And honestly, your wife is a perfect example. She is like, you know, your partner in crime. She's there helping with your show and with the products and so on and so forth. But you have a lot of women who aren't an asset, and they're more of a liability, you know. And I'm just saying that might be a possibility. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But when you see,
we'll see by his, you know, by his appearance and his placing and how he shows up. And
thank you. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
shopping in Las Vegas.
I've seen people who, you know, they're in bad relationships and they show up for a show and
Della Rosa.
Yeah.
He got it was real. Sergio.
Yeah, right.
Sergio. Yeah. You know what it is too, man. A lot of times, and it's probably, you know, I'm not going to say it's the girl's fault, but because in that instance, it's more the guy, because what happens is, you reach these heights of, fame and financial wealth, and, someone's making a lot more money than you ever did. You're more famous in that world than ever. And then that hot piece of ass comes along that wasn't giving you the time of day before you were making the money and famous, right? And then you decide, oh, this is the one for me. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of those girls aren't really too faithful, and they aren't really too traditional. And, and the thing is, we all learn the hard way. And I'm not saying this is what's happening to Hunter. I'm just saying it's a possibility. We've seen it with other athletes. We've seen it with other bodybuilders. I mean, you, right, with your first wife.
Cancer. Whew.
Yeah.
That was a cancer.
Yeah. And I remember she was a piece of ass.
So thank God I cut that cancer out. That was all my fault.
Yeah.
All my fault.
Yeah.
There were signs prior to getting married that I just ignored, right?
That's what's always the case.
There was people in my ear warning me that knew her. But dude, at the time,
what were they saying to you? Were they saying to you like, dude, do you know how many dicks she sucked? I mean, really?
No, it wasn't that. That wasn't the bad of her, by no means. And to my knowledge, she didn't have that kind of a past. It wasn't that.
Right.
She was like a gold digger looking to get, like manipulative, cunning,
right.
dishonest.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be very.
She had ripped people off, dude.
When you get to that state, when you get to that level of the level that you were at and the level that Hunter was at, you got to be very careful, because these girls, they really, and we see it all the time with pro athletes all the time, especially the younger guys like the NFL and the NBA, and they're looking to just get pregnant by you.
Dude, that was the thing, is she told me she was pregnant.
Oh.
And we had to get married. We didn't have to get married, but she pushed me into it. And at the time, dude, like I was making money. I was running Diamond Gym. I was a contracted athlete. Right. I was making money in real estate. I was buying and selling houses. So, dude, I had good amounts of income. I was about to get my pro card. I just won the USA. There was all these good things going on in my life that I was just blinded by all the good stuff. And dude, and she was manipulative. She did her part, dude, to make it look as good as possible, and
very manipulative, like a borderline sociopath.
Yeah, narcissistic with sociopathic tendencies.
Yeah, they are when you get, a lot of people don't realize it. A lot of guys on my level don't realize it, but when you get to your, like, the blue collar guys, don't, they just go, oh, she's hot, he's lucky, and it's like, nah, it's not always that great. I'm telling. And when you get to the fame that you've got to, and these other guys have gotten to, you are a target for manipulative women, for beautiful manipulative women. And again, I don't know what's going on with Hunter's life. I have no idea. They could have the greatest marriage in the world. I could be dead wrong. He could just be like, I want to go get the money while strike while the iron's hot, so on and so forth. But I'm just saying, it maybe, with those two things, like with them on the boat today, and then last year going shopping before the Olympia, may that's all I'm saying is maybe. That's it. I mean, after he'll never come on the show again, but
not after this one.
No, it's all right. Fuck it. What are you gonna do?
No, dude, he might. I mean, and look, we're voicing stuff that's out there, and we're not shitting on Hunter, dude. I'm a fan of Hunter's, dude.
Me too. He's one of those guys that you're dying to go fucking do it.
I'm dying for this guy to break out, because he's got it all.
Yeah, right.
But then you see these little things, and you're like, dude, you want to fucking push him, in the right direction. You're like, dude, stay here, veer this way, dude.
And you know what's funny? To the point that I was making before, when you do have a wife that is an asset and is your helper and guides you directly, like a Samson Dowda. Samson's wife is like that. And look at the gains he's made. The guy just doesn't stop making fucking gains, right?
Look at Sean Corrida.
Perfect example. His wife is fucking. One time,
they're a team. You could tell they're a team. You know
perfect example. Right. Yeah.
Look at Lee Haney. Remember Lee Haney, dude?
Yeah.
Shirley Haney. You know, like
perfect.
He did it for years with her, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The other topic, which really annoyed the fuck out of me, Phil Heath was on Chris Williamson's podcast, and of course he doesn't go on a bodybuilding podcast. He's got to go on one of the biggest variety channels on YouTube, which is fine. I'm sure they probably paid him.
When was it?
Chris Williamson. I think he's I don't know if he's from the UK, but he has over 1 million subscribers. And I actually always wanted Phil because I was always a huge Phil fan. I was like, oh God, if I can get Phil Heath to interview, that would be like, there's 3 people that I've always wanted to interview. One on this channel would have been Phil Heath, and the other 2 were Mike Tyson and Patrick Ben-David. Those are like the 3 people that if I ever interviewed, I can go fucking just fuck off somewhere and retire. But anyway, after this interview with Chris Williamson, man, he did not make any new friends. That's for sure. I mean, he's so fucking arrogant, bro. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So here's the thing. Chris Williamson asks about PED use. And he says, Phil Heath immediately says, I used less than everybody and I was whipping everybody's ass. So Chris Williamson says, well, how deep can you go into that? He goes, well, I won the USA with 500 milligrams of test and 1 shot of Deca a week. And he goes, I won my 2 first NPC shows natural. Right? Okay. But then he starts talking more about the PED use, right? So now he's talking and he goes, and I got the blood work to prove it, so on and so forth, whatever. I've been keeping my blood work since the beginning, all this crap, right? Okay. Whatever.
What?
Yeah. No, I don't. That's the part that bothers me the most. Here's the part that bothers me the most.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What does he mean he's been keeping his blood work to prove it?
I don't know. Maybe he's got fucking paperwork. Who knows?
But what is that going to reveal? That he wasn't taking Masterone or Trent? It's not going to tell.
Yeah.
His blood work's going to say his testosterone level. And that's all manipulated by, it's not what you're doing.
Oh, there you go. See?
And it only goes to, I'm sure he's maxed out at 1,500. So he could be doing 3,000 milligrams a week.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't show any different than 1,500 on the chart. That's all it goes up to.
Oh, so this gets even better.
That was something he threw out there for people to buy into his bullshit story.
Right. Okay. So it gets even better. Here's the thing. First of all, everybody starts out taking a little bit of stuff. That's the first thing. When I did that Staten Island show, obviously I'm not on your level, Phil Heaths. We know this. We've established that I was a shitty NPC bodybuilder. But the first show I did in Mr. Staten Island, I was taking, you ready for this? I was taking Primobolan. I don't remember how much, but I was taking Primobolan. It was the dark vial. Remember that dark Primobolan vial back
brown,
in the day?
it was in a brown bottle.
Yeah. And 2 pink D-balls a day. Remember those? I think they were Taiwanese, the little pink D-balls. That's what I was taking. That's it.
Thailand.
That's it. Yeah, that's what I was taking. The first NPC show that I ever did. Okay. Anyway, so everybody starts off doing nothing or doing very little. Then he goes, I didn't start doing growth hormone till 2008 Arnold Classic. He said he already won 2 pro shows. He turned pro in 2005, and he did the Arnold Classic, and he took growth in 2008. And then the guy asked him, well, were you still using 500 milligrams of test? And he goes, no, I was using 750. All right. Okay. Then the guy goes, well, how much was the most you ever took of test? And he goes like this. He goes, 1,300. Well, no, I was doing 1,500, and then I was doing 1,500, and then I was like, well, let me go push a little bit more, and I'll do 1,750. And all it did was make me watery. It didn't make any more, give me any more gain. So I pulled back from 1,750 back to 1,300. So you were doing a decent amount of that. It's not like, he's trying to make it seem as if he did this little bit and he was Mr. Olympia and he was so worried about his health. But his progress is just like any other bodybuilder's progress. As you got more and more competitive, you did more and more stuff. Now, whether NASA, that lunatic, did 500 milligrams of Anadrol a day, right? I mean, that was a psychopath, but you still, if he didn't have the Phil Heaths genetics, he'd be doing the 500 milligrams of Anadrol a day, right?
But we don't know that he didn't.
Yeah, that's true too. But then he starts saying things like he never took insulin, right? He never took insulin, and I'll take the lie detector test. I'll put the $1 million up. I'll take the lie detector test, but you're gonna pay me. You're gonna pay me that $1 million when I pass that lie detector test. I never took insulin. And it's like, dude, like does he get bombarded with like?
So I'm going to assume that he's taking insulin. And the funny thing is, here's
the guy.
Here's where I'm confused though.
Good.
Who gives a shit?
That's what I'm saying.
Who cares if you took insulin or not? What the fuck? The fuck does it matter?
That's what. But
you didn't. Whatever you took shit. You took more shit. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Why are people so hung up?
And the guy,
you won. What do you win? 8 Olympias?
7.
So you won 7 Olympias, and that's not good enough. And I won 7 Olympias, almost natural. Like, dude.
Yeah, right.
Like as if his 7 Sandos just aren't enough for him.
Yeah.
He needs a higher level of attribute to go along with his fucking Sandow trophy.
I don't understand. Then he says, I had my favorites. My favorite was Winnie and GH. He goes, I messed around with Tren, but Tren, the side effects of Tren are kidney failure and liver problems. And I was like, then my prolactin level would go up. So I had to take Dostanex, right? And then he's like, why am I doing this? Why am I fucking doing this? So my attitude is, but so you did take it, but the way he came off was so arrogant. And then he's like, starts going like, this is one thing that I hate when people do. When people compare today's bodybuilders to Ronnie Coleman, it's like, dude, Ronnie Coleman was the greatest bodybuilder that ever walked the face of the earth. Period. End of story. He was the Muhammad Ali of bodybuilding. He was the Babe Ruth of bodybuilding. He was the Arthur Ashe of bodybuilding. He was the greatest. It's like he would still be Mr. Olympia today. And it's like, he goes, how many 300-pound bodybuilders today have the quality of Ronnie? And that's because they're not doing the work and they're just taking all the stuff. And it's like, oh, come on, dude. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. What
was his argument?
His argument is how many 300-pound bodybuilders today, right? There's a lot more 300-pound bodybuilders today, right? But they don't have the quality of Ronnie Coleman, and he was a 300-pound bodybuilder. And he said, why do you think that is? Because they don't put the work in. They're just taking a lot of stuff. And that's complete nonsense. Number one, stop comparing everybody to Ronnie Coleman, like I said. And
I don't totally disagree with that argument.
I see, but the thing is, like, I disagree with it because
why? What's your angle on it?
Because don't tell me that these guys aren't putting the work. Don't tell me the top 5 guys in the Olympia today aren't putting the work.
I'm talking about, there's, so if you want to generalize, there are more 300-pound bodybuilders out there.
Yeah, there's also
don't look good.
Oh, 100%. But there were 300-pound bodybuilders back then that didn't look good. Who was what's his name? Come on, help me out.
Nasser?
No. He's very strong. He was like 400 pounds on his off season. He was very strong, huge guy, terrible bodybuilder though.
Oh, Greg Kovacs?
Greg Kovacs. And don't tell me that guys back then weren't taking a lot of shit. I mean, fucking Milos was on Jay Cutler's podcast showing how much Anadrol, taking 500 milligrams of Anadrol a day. Okay, so don't tell me.
Marcus Roll, you had,
yeah,
like we just said Kovacs. Who was the other guy? Jean-Pierre Fuchs. Dude, there was a ton of big guys back then.
and weren't quality,
Right.
And the thing is, the bodybuilders today. First of all, are there a lot more 300-pound bodybuilders? Yeah, but the majority of them are a lot tall. Like Samson's like 5'11", and Andrew Jack is 6'3", and the guys, and then the guys that are in the top 5 are not over 300 pounds. Nick, Hottie, Derek. I mean, what's Nick, 270 or something like that, or blah blah blah.
On stage.
And who else am I missing? Brandon. But and at the same time, he's and then he goes like this. He goes, He goes, he makes a muscle and he starts pulling his skin. And he says, you see that? He goes, you think anybody has quality of skin like that? And they have terrible skin quality today because of all the shit they're using. And I'm just like, why? You know, and the guy, the host was being really neutral, like just really like Chris Williamson was just letting them talk. And sometimes that's your worst enemy because, you know, you're so comfortable in an interview. Believe me, I do it on my other channels when I have, you know, the mafia guys. And I just interviewed a girl who was an escort. I just let her talk and she, you know, let everything fucking flow, right? Everything out about what she charged, all this shit, right? So he's just letting them, and it's like, he just lost me. He lost me as a fan. He really did, because he was so arrogant, shitting on today's bodybuilders.
Well, dude, to be honest, and I've never had a problem with Phil, but he didn't have many fans.
No, I know. You're
Even
right.
when he was when he was the Mr. Olympia, and it was because of reasons like this. Like, this is the stuff I always heard about Phil. Yeah. I met him a couple times, dude. He was always cordial to me. I mean, I didn't engage in a long enough conversation with him, but I always thought he was okay. But I had heard that, you know, not a lot of people got along with him or cared for him.
And this is another thing he said. He goes, I never did a lot of stuff because I knew there was a life after bodybuilding. All right. First of all, all right. You didn't take insulin, fine. But you did do a lot of stuff. You did do GH. You did say you went up to 1,750 milligrams of test at one point. You said you used Trend. You said you used Winstrol. You said you used Deca. I mean, you know. And then he says, and I had to know that if they ever started drug testing, I got to just like be out. I'm done. And I just don't understand these arguments. What does that mean? Like, if they ever start drug testing, that you're done. Like, first of all, they tried that in 1990. It didn't fucking work, right? When and then they tried that another time, right?
They diuretic tested for a few years,
right? And then but in 19, I believe it was 90 or 91.
There was one Olympia they drug tested.
Yeah, I think it was an Arnold. Wasn't it an Arnold?
It was an Olympia.
Oh, really?
There might have been an Arnold also, but there was an Olympia.
Something with Sean Ray.
Lee won. Lee Labrada should have won that year.
Okay.
Lee Haney was like 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But,
so
Lee Labrada looked great.
Yeah, Lee Labrada. It was, when you go and look back at Lee Labrada back then, he was a tremendous bodybuilder. You know, he's.
But dude, look back to the drug issue and the life after bodybuilding, and here's the reality. Everybody knows there's life after bodybuilding. Yeah, I never got involved with bodybuilding, and just like we said about Hunter and what's going on now, there's this window. So we're going to abuse our bodies during this window, and then we're going to get the fuck out and hopefully be as healthy as we possibly can, and pick up or at least try to counteract any damage that we've done by a healthy lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's no different. You know, it's no different than any other sport. You know, look at what a pro football player in the NFL has to go through just to get on the fucking field, dude.
Yeah, right.
We're talking like heavy painkillers and muscle relaxants and anti-anxiety drugs and corticosteroids and stuff that actually tear down tissue.
Right.
Benzos, you know, I mean, stuff that fucks people up, dude, that have long lifetime addiction, lifetime depression. But they know, dude, I have this much time to play football, risk serious bodily injury to myself, if not fucking death.
Right.
And I'm out, dude.
Right.
I'm going to make the money and I'm going to get the fuck out, and then I can ride off in the sunset. But then that's obviously bodybuilding is not on the level of the NFL where monetarily, you know, you could have the same journey out into the sun.
Right.
But you know, these are the choices we make, and we realize that they're not the healthiest. We try to do them with the best intentions as possible. But you know, even the damage we do to our body is from training and overtraining. You know, like you could get injured any day and your career's over. You know,
right?
So
yeah, absolutely.
There's always that risk. But by people using the drug argument, like I did less, or I did this, or he did more than me. We all did a ton of shit, dude. Some of us did it smarter than others. And then nowadays I do see the argument where some of the younger guys, you know, just like we said last week with King, you know, like we all preach it was so hard because it is hard. And believe me, we're not preaching how hard it was for us, you know, because we weren't looking for an easier route. We would have taken an easier fucking route anytime you could send it to them. You know, but the reality is, if you want to be a pro anything, you want to be the best in the world and judged or compete with the best in the world in anything, it's fucking hard, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard.
And I don't understand why he just didn't say that, because he would have got a lot more respect if he just would have said that. Like, yeah, I did steroids. That was part of the fucking world. I was in.
We all fucking do them.
Yeah, right. Every bodybuilder.
By him jumping up and down to prove that he didn't take insulin, who gives a shit?
Yeah, that's, you know.
I used minimal insulin. I barely used insulin.
Right.
But it didn't make or break me or make me any better or worse, or I didn't use it because, you know, I didn't like it.
Yeah. I
didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see the benefit from it.
He came off like such a fucking hand job. He really did. Like if you go take a look, go to Chris Williamson's podcast and take a look, because he really came off so arrogant.
I believe you. I will take your word on it. I will.
I mean, I interviewed Jay Cutler, and I didn't ask him about steroids, because that's one thing I won't do when bodybuilders come on, unless they don't mind talking about it. But I won't. Just out of respect, you're coming on my channel. You're coming on for free. I'm not going to ask you about anabolic steroids. But, you know, when I've seen Jay talk about steroids, I've seen Dorian Yates talk about steroids, and they just said, you know, they asked him how much you take, and I think Dorian was like, I took 1,000 milligrams of testosterone, and I took whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they're just, you know, rattling it off. But they're not trying to prove that they did less than anybody else and I was better than everybody else. It was just such an arrogant interview, and he had such an arrogance to him. And it's like, dude, you're going to get a lot more respect if you just use the argument, like you said, yeah, I did steroids. We all did it. And I had to do it if I wanted to be the best. And I was the best for 7 years in a row.
Phil genetically probably had the best genetics with shape 100%. in bodybuilding history. You can put a Ronnie Coleman level, where Ronnie just had the freakiest genetics, right?
Right.
But Phil had those with better shape, right?
Yeah. I had Phil. I did a top 5 Mr. Olympia. And I had him number 4.
Yeah, we did it. We all did it together.
Yeah, no, I did a separate one for this channel.
Oh, okay.
And I had him in 4th. I had Dorian Yates 5th, and then him 4th. And then, dude, and I said, and I showed the picture of it. In my opinion, his rear double bi was the greatest rear double bi that I've ever seen in bodybuilding history. He clearly had the genetics, and he was a tremendous bodybuilder. But when you go on like that, and he just did nothing. He did nothing to promote the sport. He just, you know, I don't know.
It's like let's say you get Tom Brady and Brett Favre and the Manning brothers and Drew Brees and Drew Bledsoe, all, you know, and Dan Marino, all in a conversation, you know what I mean? And Joe Montana, and they're all arguing, all with statistics that could go in any different direction,
right? In
terms of MVPs, Super Bowls, passing yards, touchdowns, completions, whatever, years playing. And imagine them all arguing. Well, I did it and I practiced less, or I did it and I didn't have to take
right. Yeah.
Dude, who the fuck cares?
yeah.
These guys are all the best in the world at what they do. And obviously you have to do things to get there. Right. But that's the difference. Everybody's doing those things. You're still the elite.
Yeah. He would have gotten so much more respect as far as I'm concerned. One thing I did not go see. Oh, and then I got another gripe. I did not go see the comments. I really wish I should have went to look at the comments, but I didn't. And I have to believe that the majority of them were negative. But if he would have just said that, listen, man, I'm a competitive athlete and I was the best in the world. Of course I took what I had to take in order to be the best. Did I take as much as everybody else? Maybe, maybe not. But it didn't matter. I was the best. And clearly whatever I did worked. And,
but also, how does he know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like if you're lying, you got to assume everybody else is fucking lying, right?
Right?
Like, yeah, I did 2,000. Maybe I did 10. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah. So the other gripe I have is, no, it's not much of a gripe, but you know, Desktop Bodybuilding, Xavier, he's a really nice guy. He's been on the show before, and he was reviewing this same thing we were reviewing. And he just gave no pushback on Phil, zero. He was just like, he was just saying like, well, Phil has a point here about his skin, you know, better than other people's skin. He does have very nice skin till this day. And I'm like, why do you be in such a fucking like?
Who did this?
Xavier on Desktop Bodybuilding. He's a relatively big bodybuilding channel. He's got like 40 something thousand subscribers. And then he just kept saying, well, Phil does have a point, you know, Phil does have a point. And it's like, all right, dude, come on. You know, if you're gonna cover it, stop worrying about ruffling feathers. All right. You know, it was the most arrogant interview I've ever seen from a bodybuilder. It was just like anyway, we beat that to a fucking death. I'm just not like, I'm not sold on this whole thing of the guys today take so much more shit than the guys back then. And then you talk about Greg Valentine.
To be honest, some of them do.
I'm sure some of them do. But I'm sure.
But we don't know. But we don't know.
And I'm sure but I'm sure people are going to go overboard no matter what. People are going to have that tendency. Greg Valentino admitted to doing a 10 cc bottle of testosterone a day.
So I think the argument comes in where it's the lower level guys that are taking a ton more. They're taking as much stuff as the pros.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that argument is coming. I don't know if any pro in my day is doing any more or less than a pro nowadays. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe they are, but maybe they're not. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? All I know is what I did, right? But the lower level guys, just like you said, you have guys competing at a local NPC event, taking thyroid, taking insulin, taking growth hormone, taking testosterone, taking every anabolic hormone there is they could find under the sun.
Yeah, to break top 5 at
doing this, doing that, doing Clen, doing anti-estrogens, anti-prolactins, diuretics, everything in the world to look a certain way when they're at a lower level instead of really developing up and working your physique and then adding the other stuff in afterwards, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. Believe me, I fully agree. There's no reason to do all that shit at an NPC level 100%. But I have to believe that back then there were people that did a lot of shit in the NPC level too, because I wasn't around like you were, but I was around the NPC guys, and I was in Pump and Iron Gym, and I did go to the shows, and I was friendly with the people that were competing, and people was talking about growth and talking about Clen and talking about thyroid, and so on and so forth, and blah blah blah. And then even when I did the show back, when I did your show in 2012, I remember I was backstage, and in 2012 I was using Sustanon, Tren. What else? Masteron? I don't remember. Something like that. It was like 3 compounds. And I was backstage bullshit with the guys, and I was asking like a few of the guys, 4 or 5 guys, you guys using growth? Yeah, I'm using growth. Now, so yeah, they're taking a hell of a lot more shit than they should be.
Yeah, I didn't take growth until I was at a national level.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I think, listen, I think if the stuff is available and it's easily available and readily available, I don't care what era you're in, I don't care what year you're in, there are going to be people that abuse it, because people are going to have that attitude. Well, if a little bit is good, then more's got to be better. They're going to have that addictive attitude. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a little fucked up.
Maybe
I'm a little fucked up.
We'll go with that one.
So I've been going down the rabbit hole of Jap bikes, crotch rockets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I've always liked them. And then when I wanted to get a motorcycle, I went with Harley Davidson, because I'm like, I'm too old for that shit. But man, God, when I see these young guys ripping up the road, and then I see the
you live in the worst possible state.
Yeah, I know.
Most densely populated state.
I know.
Worst traffic. You want to get a crotch rocket?
And
drive through New Jersey on it.
And the technology on these things are insane, dude.
Yeah.
The tech.
The funny thing is, the safety measures are there. They're still out the fucking
window. Yeah.
But the technology is enhanced. It's not like you form a bubble foam around you.
No,
to hit that pavement. But dude, one of my friends, like I had to go talk to him a couple weeks ago because he's been posting videos riding on a motorcycle. I think you know who I'm talking about. One of my guys from last year.
Really?
Dude, like he's fucking like out of his mind. I said, dude, are you okay? Like you trying to fucking kill yourself? Like, dude, 100 and something miles an hour on the going in and out.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't think he's a good rider. He's a good rider. I know he's a good rider.
But when you're doing over 100 miles an hour, and
140, 180.
Yeah. There's this this fucking channel that I watch on YouTube, and the regular YouTube channels for motorcycles are they're fun to watch, right? And it's like, oh, okay, this is this and this is that, and we'll do a walk around. Let's take it for a ride, blah blah blah. And then I found this guy, Wheelie Hunter, HUT, Wheelie Hut Jr. Sorry, and this guy did a review of a GSXR 1000, and he just said it was the greatest review I've ever seen because it was his friend's bike, right? He goes, "Let me take it for a ride," and he's like, the title was review of the GSXR 1000, and he's like, "Man, I like this thing. Let's see how fucking fast it goes." And it's just blasting. And it's not even his bike. And he was doing like 170. And he was on like a highway somewhere, like down south or the Midwest, because he's got that accent. And he was doing 170. And he was reviewing the bike while he was doing 100. So I immediately subscribed, and I'm like, this guy's nuts. But that's and then he's got a million fucking videos like that,
Oh,
I know. But then my sense comes in, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can get, because Harley Davidson from 2008 to about 2016, I think, or 17, they made the V Rod or the Night Rod,
Night
Rod special.
Yeah, nice.
They have 125 horsepower.
Yeah,
Harley Davidson designed it with Porsche. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll go that because it's more of a sporty, but it's not a kill yourself.
Still a safer ride.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. We'll see. I love those fucking bikes. I always have. I don't know.
I had two.
Did you? Which ones?
I had a CBR 750.
Yeah.
I had Kawasaki. Is that Kawasaki? No, I had a Kawasaki 750, and I had a
Ninja
CBR,
750.
Yeah, Ninja 750.
Yeah,
and I had a CBR 929.
Okay, yeah, I know the bike. Yeah, I had a Ninja 750.
Fastest street production bike that year.
Yeah. CBRs back then. What year was that?
98.
Yeah. Back then the CBRs were badass. Yeah. And then Yamaha just blew everybody away with the R1, and it just fucking But
dude, they were fun, but it's fucking scary.
I know.
But I didn't ride it much, dude. I had a Harley too,
Did you? What kind of Harley did you have?
I had a Softail that way.
Dude, get another Harley, and then we could join a gang.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy too. Like if you knock on the pagans' doors and you just we want to join a gang. And I think if you specifically call it a gang and not a club, they
and then you're in trouble.
They kind of respect that when you go to them and knock on the door and you go, I want to join your gang.
Right. Hi.
Yeah.
Can I be a member?
Yeah, exactly. But no, the Harley's fun. Don't get me wrong. I love the bike. I'm not getting rid of it. The power. It's something about power and fucking engines and that. It's just thrilling. It's just fun. I don't know.
Well, dude, you have I wouldn't have time to ride. I have no fucking time to ride.
Yeah, you got girls and soccer and your business.
maybe when the older ones off to college and the younger ones.
That's what happens. That's exactly what all the guys that I work with, when their kids go to college or they're out of the house, that's when they buy their toys, whether it's their new car or the boat to go fishing or the motorcycle. That's when they do it. That's exactly what happens. And for me, since I didn't have any kids, I fast forwarded that part right to the toys.
Right.
Shit. Anyway, so Hunter's fucking around. Phil needs a hand. Phil needs a hand job.
Phil Heaths a jerk off.
And that sums up tonight's fucking video.
Right. Yeah, signing out.
Yeah. And Xavier from Desktop is too much of a sissy. He won't fucking say shit wrong. Anyway. All right, dude. I'm gonna let you go. Once again, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes, sir.
And buy your I Prevail subs, even though I run the commercial every time before this video starts. I gotta order. I keep forgetting. I gotta order your pre-workout. So I
get some sleeveless hoodies. I'll send you.
Oh, well, all right, cool.
Yeah, XL.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
All right, dude. Have a good night.
Peace. Be safe.
Later.